Well, is Flash better than HDR? I don't think this is that controversial if you actually sit down and really analyze it. The question. We'll just jump into a few examples here. You know, you look into a product photography place, you look into a movie set, you look into, you know, why have people been, for example, like wedding receptions when they're doing the formals? Why do they use lights? You know, why? I mean, if natural light is so good, why has it historically been that, you know, for the formal they'll set up lighting? Why don't they just use natural light? I don't. So when people are going for high quality Hollywood or whatever, you know, product photography, anything you can think of, they use lights. Okay, so they don't just set up, they don't just say, okay, let's just set up the product right here in the middle of the room, the lighting's fine. No, nobody really does that. Okay, so it's not really an argument like if lights or no lights is better. It's definitely lighting is better. Okay, so the fact is you have the choice too when you have the lighting, right? So you could use the lighting when you need it, or you, if you feel like you don't need it, so you don't have to use it, right? So that's another thing that actually, because it's an extra tool, it's not like you don't have to use lighting. So I don't know. I see this question get answered a lot like, well, there's no answer. Well, there is an answer. Lighting is actually better. It's just, it objectively, it's better. It's just better, you know. And, you know, people don't like it when you're really opinionated and act like you're right, but it is right. It's just the truth. It's like I was seeing some great commentary today. I watched this political economic commentator, and he was making some great points. His points weren't popular. It was about the NFL and how coaches, you know, there's not enough black coaches in the NFL. But he was right. There are enough black coaches in the NFL. It's representative of the population. There's about 13% black coaches supposedly, and that's like representative of the population. So anyway, that's a sidetrack. So lighting is better than HDR. Okay, that's a general thing. So now if we're going after only top qualities up here, right? If we're only going after a certain quality, like a certain low quality, HDR can be acceptable and it can be fast. All right, acceptable and fast. And I'll stop here and I'll say that there's probably been quite a few photos that I've really admired and I didn't even know they're HDR, and I'll totally admit that. So I'm not saying like you can get really good results with HDR, and another good argument on the other side is I don't really know what I'm doing with HDR, so when I get in there and try it, it just looks like crap. So that's another good argument. Like my point of view is probably skewed because I'm not good with HDR, and that's a good point. So I've probably seen some really nice photos, didn't even know they're HDR because I don't really know what I'm looking for, you know, because I haven't done enough. So, but I still don't think that's an argument. I think like good HDR comes into play when you're dealing with huge voluminous spaces when it just wouldn't be realistic to do lighting. But most of the time I think you can do lighting, in my opinion, even if it's a gigantic space. But anyway, so another, this is just going to sort of parlay over into another thought along the same lines. A lot of times people say that HDR is faster, and like once again, I don't do HDR, but you have to get the bracket, right? And so we all know that's pretty quick. You have to get a bracket, and then you have to put the bracket through processing, right? So I was just having this sort of conversation on Facebook with somebody. He was showing a room, and this particular room, okay, what I'm going to say might not apply to every single room, but this particular room we were looking at, well, I walk in, I would know my shutter speed, I would know what my settings on my camera need to be. I just set my camera down. I set it to maybe 1/80 on my shutter speed or something, so I know the window pool is going to be nice and clean. Point my flash to the ceiling, click my shutter, and my photo is done. In his example that he posted, you know, in that particular photo. Now that's not always going to be true, but I got it in one frame, right? So I'm done with the photo. It doesn't really require post-processing or anything. So isn't that faster? Isn't it actually faster? And so you're also dealing with when there's really difficult rooms and the colors are really difficult and there's sort of mixing colors everywhere. I think flash is actually a lot faster. And so um, there's going to be instances where if you're able to turn out all the lights and there's really nice light and you have sort of white walls, you know, HDR, I guess, can be faster, but I'm not even arguing that flash is faster. All I'm saying is I don't like it when people say just assume HDR is faster, because I don't think it is. I think to get to a certain quality level, um, flash can be just as fast as HDR. Okay, that's the point I would make. And it might even be faster. So this one is arguable. So which one is faster is arguable, but the one we were talking about before, lighting or HDR, which one is better, that one's not even arguable. So, you know, you guys can think about this on your own, but hopefully I've convinced you lighting is better than HDR. That's just clear as day. There's no argument there. And then lighting does not have to be slower than HDR as well. I think that's a proven fact. The reason this gets a sort of you know, this opinion gets propagated throughout the community is because it's people that don't know what they're doing with lighting, you know, that are, you know, go tell Scott Dubose to shoot his next house with HDR. Okay, he's gonna run into all sorts of problems. He's gonna be going a lot slower, right? But he has this flash process down where he's shooting a house in 25 minutes and he's editing it in 20 minutes for Flambient. Okay, he's editing in his car. He's got it down, right? If he has to do HDR, I mean, I'm sure he could get it down, but that's the point. So this opinion is being sort of steamrolled by people that don't know what they're doing with flash yet. Okay, they're not really proficient with flash in these spaces, because what you have in your hand when you have flash is like this very easy handheld complete color correction and window pull tool. You just like, okay, I got my window pull, I got my colors all in, you know, I was just what was the cost? I was just holding this flash in my hand. I don't get it. And then you also got contrast and sharpness throughout the whole photo, because of that light you're putting in there. So to get to a certain quality level, HDR is not faster than flash.